Strategy Analytics, Indranil Chatterjee from Openwave Mobility, and Frederick from Sandvine. Our format today will be 45-minute presentation. We've got 3 different presentations followed by Q&A. And during the course of the webinar, our attendees are welcome to submit questions, and we will try to answer those questions, intermix those into our presentations, or hold them to the end. Copies of this webinar will be made available on demand on RCR Wireless News within an hour or two of the presentation. So at this time, what I'd like to do is get a feel for the audience by getting a poll and get the audience feedback in terms of when you feel video is going to be a real problem on mobile networks. So I'm going to leave this open for about 30 seconds, and would appreciate the attendees on the call to take just a minute and cast your vote on this poll. It'll give our panelists a better feel for who's actually attending the call. And then we'll share the results before we hand off to Susan Welsh from Strategy Analytics. Great, thank you very much. We got about 50% of the attendees voting. We'll leave it open for another few minutes. Actually, a few seconds, excuse me. Okay, if you haven't cast your vote, we'll give you another 5 seconds to respond, and then we're going to close the poll and get started on the webinar. Okay, the poll is now closing, and I'm going to share the results just so the panelists can get a feel for the audience response. So as you can see, 40% of the attendees believe that videos can be a real problem on mobile networks right now, 25% in 2013 and 25% in 2 years. So we can come back and revisit those numbers as we move into the Q&A. So at this time, what I'd like to do is introduce Susan Welsh, who is Director of Mobile Broadband Opportunities for Strategy Analytics. Susan, thanks for joining us today.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to talk a little bit about the market trends we're seeing around mobile video optimization, and good to see that we have quite a view of mobile video already being a challenge on mobile networks. I'm going to talk about service and congestion-aware mobile video. Optimization is really a must starting today, even as we introduce 4G LTE networks. So there's several reasons why operators need to get in front of mobile video optimization today, introducing solutions, evaluating solutions, and integrating them into their businesses. As we see, new devices and networks will drive video use to the point of congestion. Speed and size matter. So it's the speed of the device screen and the speed of the network, particularly 4G LTE, is driving the market, and the size of the device as you get a better user experience. I'm going to talk a bit about how today, anyhow, additional video on the network has not created additional revenue necessarily, and there are ways that operators need to address that. Smart optimization will help operators save money, position to make more money, and deliver very important quality of experience to their end users. I'm going to address also very briefly some of the emerging vendor trends and operator best practices that we're seeing in the market. So the pool of people who could really impact the video load on networks is lurking in the wings and growing. We've done a number of surveys of end users, and in the U.S. among 4G LTE smartphone owners, today about half are not really using video on their devices, and another quarter are not using it more than once a week. So this pool of users, if they start to adopt more use of video, could very quickly add more video on the networks. And the following speakers will address how much video is really taking up traffic on networks today. So if we see that with the relatively few users today, we're going to have more users with devices that are a good experience for video, and those who already have it may start to use more video, which will really drive the data traffic on the networks. We've done forecasting of the different types of devices on networks. Of course, smartphones are very much going to be the volume driver for video. However, we certainly see a higher percentage of video use on some of the larger screen devices, such as tablets and netbooks and notebooks that are connected either through an integrated modem or an external modem or a mobile portable hotspot. So in 2012, we've really seen tablets and start to take off a bit more as an impact here. That's the green on these bar charts. And we also see multi-device plans trying to help encourage more users to connect these devices into the mobile network. Going forward into 2015 and 16, we'll start to see much more ubiquitous mobile broadband, not just here in the U.S., but in many other markets, with real internet speeds and quality of service being delivered. We'll start to see some home use of LTE networks and 4G HSPA Plus type networks as well that will drive usage around the world. And we'll start to see opportunities for personalized plans and value pricing to drive usage on those networks and over those devices. One thing we are certainly seeing in the market is that having a bigger device with a bigger display is more encouraging for people to use video on those devices. In surveys that we've done, reasons for not using mobile video frequently on smartphones, part of it is lack of interest today, but also having a small device or a smaller display on the device or preference to watch it on a netbook or a tablet are certainly factors as well. Of course, then also the network speed has a big impact, so additional build-out of 4G LTE and HSPA Plus will also increase this pool of users who will want to watch video. One thing we have seen is that as the market for mobile video has evolved, more video use does not necessarily equate to more spend per user. In the early days, a lot of the higher spend per user was because the video was on the operator portals, cost money to activate. Around 2008, we saw the YouTube for iPhone come into play. And in the last couple of years, we've seen a lot more competitive offerings, free offerings, and ad-sponsored offerings. Going forward, we're certainly going to see the numbers of videos displayed increasing quite significantly. But that does not mean that each person and each new user will be spending a lot more money. There certainly will be tiers that will spend money, but there will be others who just want free use of video. So what this really means is the operators need to look for tools and solutions to put into the network, not only to manage the traffic for this, but to allow them to enable quality of experience and analytics to help them evaluate ways to control their costs, but also support new business models. Smart optimization is going to give opportunity for operators to save money, make money, and deliver quality of experience. We're going to start to see operators evaluated much more by the quality of video experience on their networks. So it's no longer about just voice quality. Video quality starts to become a real differentiator. At the same time, managing video properly on the network means you're not impacting the revenue streams from your call quality. Lots of dropped calls because of too much video is also an issue. So smart investments today will really help to reap benefits in a number of areas. One is, of course, CapEx and OpEx savings, being able to only direct the right traffic to video optimization solutions, and we'll hear more about that from the following speakers. Customer loyalty and the ability to manage churn by having good experience on the network is also a very important piece of cost savings, as well as increasing and continuing revenue from those customers. And then the opportunity for service innovation, so services that will target users who want to spend more, but also bring in third parties and other players into the environment where they can spend money on video, support video quality of experience to these end users. And we're seeing that LTE is promoting actually more mobile video use as we have very high quality connections and better devices and higher resolution on the devices. So LTE in itself is not going to solve the congestion issue for video traffic, but yet generate more demand. So operators need to deploy a set of mobile video optimization solutions that will scale with the growth of video traffic, as well as deliver quality of experience. We've done surveys, as I mentioned, and one of the things we've tested is how much interest there is in different pricing plans around video. Video, unlike some of the other types of data, is very data intensive. So increased use can have a huge impact on the amount of data consumed. As we've moved away from unlimited plans in many cases, or even with unlimited plans, there's a lot of video that can be generated and quickly use up data caps or data allocations, or use a lot of video on an unlimited plan. So one thing operators are looking at is how do you take this video, separate it from the rest of the data package, and create something that can be better monetized, better controlled, and deliver a good quality of experience. So one thing we have noticed, about 30% of the smartphone owners we asked would be very interested in having or somewhat interested in a premium bundled plan, bundling video content and access together as a package they can select. However, these people will certainly want to have quality of experience, which is where it's very important to have a good video optimization solution. Video optimization and analytics are very key to being able to differentiate around quality of experience and develop new business models and service pricing. So we've seen this year video traffic challenge very much becoming a piece of the equation. Data tiers are in effect capturing and limiting how much video is consumed. We're also seeing multi-SIM plans or multi-device plans to pull more device types such as tablets, which are ideal for video consumption, coming onto mobile networks. Going forward, we certainly see opportunities for more value-based and session-based pricing to capture per-click video pricing. We're seeing models where certain devices are coming with data, so netbooks or notebooks coming with a certain allocation of data. But they're going to need to have ways to consume video that don't use up those small caps of data and then can be separately delivered. We're also seeing opportunities for toll-free data. And I think going forward, what really opens up the realm for new video solutions and new video packaging is personalization, opportunities for sponsored content and gifting, quality of service bundles with speed, and multi-screen device solutions for packaging. So I think video becomes much more a piece of the equation of mobile service delivery and service pricing packaging, which is where the optimization comes in play. Now, video comes in many different flavors, and there's many solutions that can be used to optimize video. We've done some surveys in the industry around which types of technologies for video optimization are most important last year and going forward. And we're certainly seeing that adaptive bitrate streaming has been very important, but traffic steering and transcoding are both increasing in importance. I think the traffic steering, where you take a portion of the traffic and you identify the right video traffic to send to be optimized, is something we'll hear more about. And I think that's an important area to focus on, how you cost-effectively optimize video. And some of the trends in the vendor space, certainly seeing the ability to have new network-friendly, over-the-top optimization solutions is very important. And client awareness optimization solutions that are aware of the type of device watching the video. The next three bars in the middle of the chart here show that there really is a focus on integrated solutions. And there certainly is opportunity for best-of-breed partners to come together to create integrated solutions that help to better pull together some of the lower layer awareness in the network and the layer 4 through 7 awareness to create a very solid video optimization solution that's cost-effective and flexible. Some of the best practices we're seeing from operators are really to optimize only when necessary. And certainly Indranil will be addressing that for us more detail. Combining content, device, and network awareness is certainly a very important piece of video optimization. And from an operator's perspective, the need to select an integrated and pre-tested solution that has multiple proven use cases to help them really make their return on investment case and involve different teams inside their network. And then to really approach video optimization holistically. You may be approaching the problem today by the need to manage traffic, but going forward, you're going to want to say and have flexibility to address video service differentiation, to pull in third-party partners or leverage into content delivery networks that you may be developing. So it needs to be a holistic view that involves not only network teams, but also product teams, marketing teams, and strategy teams inside the operator that are developing this approach to video optimization as video grows on the network. So thank you. That's a good introduction to the topics, and I'm going to hand back to Jeff, and we can have the next speaker address some of the solutions we're seeing in the market.
Thank you, Susan. Our next speaker is Indranil Chatterjee from Openwave Mobility. He's VP of Product Marketing and Strategy for Openwave Mobility. Indranil, please take it from here.
Thank you, Jeff. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to folks around the world. Today, I'm going to talk about three things primarily. Number one, why do we need to consider seriously mobile video optimization? And Susan touched upon it to some extent. Number two, I'm going to talk about what are some of the learnings that we have had from our customer deployments to date. And number three, what I want to talk about is some of the requirements that as a customer, as a mobile operator, you need to consider when you're thinking of deploying a mobile video optimization solution. So number one, why do we need to optimize mobile traffic? Needless to add, as Susan pointed out, and Chris will talk about in his section, there is a significant growth in the traffic, and especially the growth is significant when it comes to mobile video. So having said that, as an operator, what you have to think about is how do you manage your CapEx and OpEx when it comes to your radio network or your mobile backhaul so that you can keep pace with this growth. And the important point to note, as Susan mentioned in her section, is the growth is there in the traffic, but the corresponding growth in ARPU or monetization is not to the same extent. So that's the challenge you face. And we understand that there are multiple solutions or options that an operator has. So number one, you've got Wi-Fi offload, you've got the LTE deployment and building out that network, and then you have, of course, mobile video optimization. And we strongly feel that video optimization needs to be part of the bigger puzzle and is a very complementary approach for two reasons. One, in terms of ROI, it arguably gives the biggest bang for the buck. And number two, it also is an important tool for the operator to manage the quality of experience for the end user. And I'll touch upon that more as I go along in the rest of the slide deck. So moving into the key learnings. In summary, there are three key learnings that we have from our customer deployments and from the various customer engagements and meetings that I have had with customers around the world. Number one, quality of experience is absolutely important. Again, Susan talked about it in her section about customer loyalty and the key to retain customers. And it's not just about voice quality anymore. Video quality is equally, and going forward, will be more important. What happened was, if you go back about 24 months or around 30 months, when the buzz around video optimization really took off, all the focus was on savings and what people were missing. And now, as you can see, the customers have gravitated rightly towards a balanced mix of byte savings versus quality of experience, which is the second point, because if you look at savings in isolation, that does not give you the full picture. You have to look at two pieces of that equation to understand what trade-offs you're making as you ramp up on your savings, and what is the key impact, therefore, on quality of experience. Last but not the least is this question of savings. So the key here is, how does that savings relate to your ROI? Are you getting, as I term it, high-octane savings, savings that lead to real savings in terms of your CapEx and OpEx? Or is it savings that are great on a pie chart or a graph, but does not relate to real dollars from a customer budget perspective? So those are the three key learnings, and I'll expand on each of them going forward. So number one is around the quality of experience. If you look at quality of experience, there are three key buckets that one needs to consider over here. Number one is the encoding quality. This is the original video, and the encoding quality is done to ensure that there are no visual artifacts, and also it's done in a way so you are being light on the client's CPU. And for that to happen, the vendor or the solution needs to be doing content-aware compression. And I'll talk more about that in the subsequent slides. But this is a critical piece that you understand the content, whether it's a high motion video versus static video, and take into account the original encoding quality to ensure a good quality of experience. The second piece of the puzzle is playback nature. And this is where one can argue that the radio network variations come into play the most, right? So if you have congestion in the network, that will impact playback nature, and what you will get as an end user is stuttering and buffering of the video, leading to a bad quality of experience. So from a solution perspective, you have to consider methods such as congestion triggered optimization, being able to dynamically adapt your compression levels so you can keep in touch with the radio network conditions. The third bucket is around ensuring that the video that is being delivered is the right fit for that device. So the primary parameter here is the resolution. Susan talked about how we are getting devices with better resolution, but there are cases where there's a mismatch between the video and the resolution of the video being delivered versus the ability of the device to handle that resolution. So the key factor here is you need to be device aware when you're sitting as a congestion, as an optimization solution in the network. So those are the three key things to keep in mind as you think about video quality of experience. The second area of learning, as I mentioned, was this equation between savings and quality of experience. I have honestly seen our competitors and some of the vendors talk about numbers such as we can do 70% savings. So a couple of things that one needs to keep in mind. Number one, what is that saving? Is that saving of net traffic, or is it saving of quote-unquote optimizable traffic? And then when you dig deeper, you realize that somebody is only optimizing 30% of the traffic, so it's actually 70% of 30%, so it's probably closer to 25 to 30% of the net traffic. So that's number one. One should not fall for the hype and numbers and really dig deep into what that number means. The second learning that we have seen and we have heard from customers complain is you've got to have integrity around the savings number. I would strongly recommend customers to have their own methods of measuring the savings. Because keep in mind, savings is a combination of those factors that lead to direct savings, and also there are certain parameters that are derived savings. And so it's important to understand what is that algorithm and the equation behind the derived savings. So the net of it is make sure there is an independent measurement of savings, because the reports may make some assumptions that may not be in line with your network conditions. The last, the third point I want to make, which is the obvious one here, is what is the impact on the quality of experience? Yes, you can dial up your compression levels and get higher percentage of savings. But as you can see from the two visuals on this slide, you may end up with a poor quality of experience. And there's an interesting thing we learned from one of our customers, where what they said was they had deployed a solution from another vendor, and the quality of experience was not very good. But it was difficult for them to find out, because the call center where customers were calling up, the call center was classifying those issues as an RF issue. And so it was a misclassification, and therefore very difficult to determine that the optimization solution was actually causing a bad quality of experience. So these are some key learnings you have to keep in mind as you think about this equation between savings and quality of experience. The third area of learning is, as I mentioned, around the savings. And is it high-octane savings? Is it savings of bytes that are really leading to savings and a better ROI? As you can see from the analogy here of a network, of a highway, if you have a 3-lane highway and you only have, say, 5 or 8 cars in a 1-mile stretch, and if you reduce that number by half, honestly, who cares? Because that, yes, you brought down the number of cars from 8 to 4, but there wasn't any congestion. There was no impact on quality of experience. And also, frankly, it did not save any dollars. But on the other hand, if you have a highway that is very congested and you've got hundreds of cars in a 1 or 2 mile stretch, and you take out 30% of that, and that leads to better quality of experience and also real ROI for you as the customer. So again, it's critical to understand the quality of savings. Is it high octane? Is it really making an impact both in terms of QoE and ROI? Now let me transition into what are some of the requirements that you need to consider when you are thinking as a customer to deploy a mobile video optimization solution. As I mentioned before, quality of experience is absolutely important, and therefore you need to have a solution that is truly content aware. There are solutions out there that could be constant bitrate, so regardless of the type of video, it would bring down the bitrate to a certain level, or it would bring down the frame rates to a certain level, and there are other things that one can do, that is reduce the number of frames, slices per frame, etc. But the bottom line is you need to have a solution that is content aware, preserves the quality of experience, and in fact improves the quality when you have congestion in the network, for example. So one other point to keep in mind is have a tool that is able to objectively measure the quality for videos delivered as standalone videos and videos that are optimized. So you can make the comparison and then feedback loop into the system to fine-tune your optimization solution. So that's the key requirement to keep in mind. Measure the quality of experience. The second bucket of requirements are around the mechanics of optimization. Number one, MP4 format is obviously the largest portion of video traffic today, probably somewhere in the 70 to 75% range. And between MP4, FLV, and 3GP formats, you cover probably close to 85 to 90%, depending on the region of the video. So it is critical that you have a solution that does inline MP4 optimization. Then there are other things to keep in mind from a requirement perspective. Number one is, as I talked about, congestion-triggered optimization. And congestion-triggered both at the flow level, so at the individual subscriber level, and also at the cell site level. So you should have the ability to do both. The third area is around policy-based. As an operator, you obviously want to have the control to be able to apply optimization based on the policy and the plans of the subscriber. And then there are other areas that you need to keep in mind. One is adaptive streaming. That is another area where we are seeing growth in terms of protocols. So you need to have a solution that is comprehensive for adaptive streaming protocol. And then last but not the least, you should have the ability to do offline caching and optimization in your cache. So in summary, you have multiple containers, codecs, and protocols. You need to have a solution that cuts across them. MP4 is a primary container that you need to be able to do inline. You need to have a solution that supports congestion-triggered optimization, policy-based optimization. And then you will have a comprehensive solution to address all your needs across mobile video optimization. Now I'll get a little bit into our partnership with Sandvine. As I talked about, there is a significant growth in the traffic. So we firmly believe that you need a solution that can give you the best of scale, performance, and value add in the application layer while giving you the ability to do true service orchestration real time in terms of the subscriber, the device, the network, and the policy of that subscriber. So that's critical, and we firmly believe that Sandvine, being the leader in the DPI space, and our ability and our leadership in the application level value add, this is a best of breed approach that gives you a comprehensive service orchestration and a policy enforcement all the way from layer 2 to layer 7. That truly is not only gives you what you need today, but is future-proof in terms of other use cases that you want to deploy going forward as a customer. The primary use case that we are talking about today and that we deliver via our combined solution is this ability to not only do optimization, but intelligently, number one, do the traffic steering. As Susan talked about in her section, traffic steering is becoming increasingly important because, again, as I mentioned, it gives you that mix of performance, scale, and value add when needed. So Sandvine has, and Chris is going to talk more about this, has this excellent capability of doing intelligent traffic steering based on the traffic profile, based on the subscriber, based on that application, based on the network condition. And Openwave Mobility brings in the application level value add capability. And in this case, the use case is around congestion triggered optimization. And the other thing to note here is we truly bring in this hybrid approach of we can do through this a cell-site based congestion triggered optimization, or in our Openwave Mobility solution, we have the ability to detect congestion at the flow level. So that, as an operator, gives you the flexibility to apply at the cell site or at the individual flow level. Last but not the least, it's important to ensure that what you're deploying today is future-proof. Again, as Susan talked about in the first section, it's not just about optimization. That is critical. That will deliver ROI, but you have to think about how you monetize this traffic. Because this traffic is growing and it's increasingly burdening your CapEx and OpEx. And so you, for a complete solution, you have to think of it from a top line and bottom line perspective. And our ability together as a joint solution covers all aspects in terms of packet processing, classification, policy enforcement layer 2 to layer 7, and therefore it gives you the flexibility going forward in future to add more use cases, such as my day pass for data encouragement, my video pass. So in this case, you're detecting video and monetizing the video all in real time through contextual end user engagement. So in summary, I want to leave you with 4 thoughts. Number one, as I mentioned, you have to consider this seriously given the traffic profile in your network. And don't just look at it from a savings perspective, but look at optimization also from a quality of experience perspective. Number 2 is getting the best ROI necessarily means that you think about it from a congestion triggered optimization perspective. So you're not just doing brute force optimization to all your traffic, but you are doing it selectively based on when you detect congestion. And number 3 is ensuring that you have a solution that is future-proof and that not only delivers optimization, but also and helps you monetize this growing portion of your traffic. With that, I'll hand it over to Chris.
Okay, thank you so much, Indranil. This is Jeff again. While we queue up Chris's presentation, Chris Frederick is our next presenter. He is Director of Technology Alliances from Sandvine. Chris, thanks for joining us today. I think we're bringing up your slide presentation right now.
Great. Thanks very much, Jeff. So I'm going to share a few insights from our recent Global Internet Phenomenon Report, which is a twice-yearly report that we generate at Sandvine that really is intended to shine a light on data networks around the world, identifying facts, fads, and the future trends that will shape the Internet's future. And a lot of these points will echo some of the comments made earlier, and just really reinforce that from our perspective. But basically, within this report that we generate, we present a mix of high-level observations, regional-focused analysis, and then some deep dives into specific subjects and educational tidbits. The two key insights that I think are relevant for the discussion today are first that global data usage continues to rise, and we really see this across all regions and in fact even across fixed and mobile networks. To cite just one example, in Asia Pacific, in that particular region, we saw the mean mobile usage increase by almost 10% in the past 6 months since our last report, and that's fairly typical for the latest report that we've done. The second insight is that real-time entertainment is absolutely dominant as the traffic category that's driving the most bandwidth across networks. And that's true of, again, of virtually every network that we look at, and it continues a trend that we expect to observe in the foreseeable future. Since I'm going to talk a lot about this, I probably should define what real-time entertainment is. It's essentially a traffic category that we use at Sandvine that includes applications and protocols that allow on-demand entertainment to be consumed as it arrives. So this is all of your streamed or buffered video and audio like RTSP, RTMP, Flash, MPEG. It also includes peer casting, such as PP Stream, which is very popular in Asia Pacific, and the specific streaming sites and services that everyone's familiar with, like YouTube, also Hulu, Spotify, things like that. Generally, we see that North America continues to lead in adoption of this traffic category, with almost 2/3 of the downstream traffic during peak period being streaming audio and video. So digging into that a little bit more, this slide just shows the current status and also some projections that we can make. And as we can see here, the real-time entertainment category will account for a full 60%, we believe, of peak time usage, data usage by mid-2015, and that'll grow to almost 70% of traffic by 2019. Within that category, there's absolutely no doubt that YouTube is the global video leader. We consistently see that this is a top 3 application on virtually every network in every region that we see. And in fact, if you look at North America mobile networks, the amount of traffic that YouTube accounts for is already pretty staggering. This again, that goes to the question I think that was raised earlier about how real is the need for video as an issue or a problem today. Well, I guess it depends whether you look at things as an issue or a problem. But there's absolutely no doubt that that video is the dominant consumer of bandwidth on networks, and as we'll see, as I'll go into a little bit more detail, that trend's only going to continue. So drilling into that a little bit more, this is a current snapshot of peak period traffic consumption within North America mobile access networks. You can see already that in the downstream direction, it's well over half of the total data consumption, and about 50%, almost exactly 50% of the aggregate consumption during peak time. So again, just underscoring the fact that real-time entertainment traffic is far and away the most dominant traffic category, and accounts for essentially half of all the bytes sent and received on networks today. Going into a little bit into yet more detail on this next slide, we've actually broken out the top 10 applications to give a better view. I guess the first thing that's obvious is again, the point that YouTube has entrenched itself as the dominant application on mobile networks, and it basically now more than doubles the second highest ranked application, which is HTTP during the peak period. So again, going back to Susan's point about interest in premium plans, I think one of the interesting data points behind these percentages is that, and this really speaks to the importance of intelligent optimization and segmentation, which was also raised earlier, is that from a traffic distribution standpoint, the top 1% of subscribers who make the heaviest use of the network's upstream resources account for a full 24% of the total upstream traffic. That's just the top 1% of subscribers. So when you think about the interest in premium plans and those types of subscribers, that small percentage of subscribers who may be interested in that kind of service can have a disproportionately large impact on network utilization. And the comparable downstream users account for almost 19% of downstream bytes. And then if you flip that and look at the opposite end of the usage spectrum, the network's lightest 50% of users account for less than 1% of total traffic. And there's various reasons behind that we can speculate on and also deduce from our study. In large part that may be due to the number of feature phones that are still in use and so on. But what it really speaks to, I think, is again the importance of tailoring video-specific bundles and applications to that user group that's really driving this high usage of video services. Not to just focus on North America. Actually, I'd encourage everyone who's interested to contact me or someone else at Sandvine for a full copy of the Global Network Phenomenon report. But just to highlight one region outside of North America, I've included a slide here on Asia Pacific mobile networks. Asia is interesting, I think, as well, because that region has traditionally shown the highest consumption numbers among users across the globe in terms of data utilization. And we expect that consumption leadership to continue, at least for the foreseeable future. As I mentioned off the top, the mean monthly usage in Asia-Pac has made a small but noticeable gain of roughly 10% in the 6 months since we last examined the region. And but what's interesting here, I think, is if you look at the upstream, real-time entertainment's upstream dominance is a little bit unique to Asia-Pacific. And I think that's largely due to the use of popular peercasting application, PP Stream, which sends and transmits videos simultaneously over the network. But again, very similar to North America, we again see a very small percentage of subscribers. In this case, if you look at accounting for a large percentage, a disproportionately large percentage of the utilization. And if you look at 1% of the top 1% of subscribers who make the heaviest use of the network's upstream resources, again, largely through these video applications like PP Stream, that accounts for 57% of the upstream utilization and 32% of the downstream. And again, if you take all the bottom 80% of users, that's only 13.5% of total traffic. So, and again, I'm not suggesting it's all due to video, but a large portion of it is. It's also likely due to the presence of laptop air cards or dongles that consume a lot more data than a smartphone. But again, to Susan's point, those users may very well be the users that are driving the video traffic at the same time. So that's just a few brief insights from the Global Phenomenon Report. What we like to do is extrapolate from current and historical reports to make some predictions, look inside our crystal ball just to see and speculate about what's ahead. I think when we look at events like the upcoming World Cup, we're going to see a huge increase in video consumption. Looking back a little bit to the London Olympics, streaming, we found in this latest report that streaming traffic accounted for almost 22% of total network traffic at its peak. And incidentally, the event which caused the largest spike was the men's 100-meter track race, which is probably not surprising. Everyone wanted to see Usain Bolt and so on. But on average, at its peak levels, the Olympic streaming traffic accounted for about 10%, something in that neighborhood of network traffic each day in the United States. And elsewhere, I saw where the BBC claimed that online video consumption was up 20 times versus the Beijing games. So that's, again, that's, you know, we've shown a few charts that show that ramp from left to right of video consumption. But you know, when you look at events like the London Olympics and compare that to the Beijing Olympics and look ahead to the World Cup, you know, we really seen that that evidence borne out there. So again, I think the other interesting point, just to echo some points that were made earlier, is that you have to look beyond core optimization. You have to look to the core optimization feature, which is sort of the centerpiece or the fulcrum of our integration with Openwave. But as we pointed out, I think you have to look beyond that to monetization, and you have to look around that. You have to look beyond that to services that are wrapped around that. For example, the need for robust bill shock protection mechanisms. Because with everyone streaming these World Cup games, you don't want to you know, poison that relationship that the operator has with subscribers when people get a nasty bill shock in conjunction with that jump in streaming consumption. So that's very important. So just to echo some of the earlier comments about our integration, Sandvine has a unique patented technology, a mechanism that we call our divert mechanism, which allows very, very granular and intelligent steering of traffic flows. As Indranil mentioned, that this can be done on a subscriber application, you know, content type, device type aware basis, and it handles the load balancing and health checking of the attached devices. Without going into too much technical detail, I guess the secret sauce of this is that with our device, the patent allows us to sort of watch the TCP handshake that occurs when a subscriber requests a media asset with the content server, and we allow that handshake unfold. We very, very intelligent and granular decisions on the nature of that flow. So we don't just see the you know, the initial packet and say, oh, this is port 80 traffic. We can allow the handshake to unfold to get very, very detailed information on the flow, and then resend those initial handshake packets to the Openwave Mobility Video Optimization System, such that they see the entirety of the flow, but with that, but at the same time, you know, having leveraged that very intelligent and granular redirection. So what does this mean for an operator? Well, what it really means is again, just the point to maximizing maximizing the value of the system to the operator, minimizing capital expenditure by making sure that only you know, the proper, the addressable, optimizable video gets redirected, and minimizing the OpEx with a proven, very scalable and very stable integration. Finally, I'd like to share some of the details around the video analytics that we do as a complement to this integration. We have a product that we call our network analytics, and really there's a series of dashboards, but I'm going to focus today for the purpose of this discussion on one particular dashboard that we call the real-time entertainment dashboard, which comprises various screens. And here we see one of the screens, what we call our engineering summary. But the real goal here is to overcome the three major challenges associated with deployment of this type of video optimization solution. As Indranil said, you want to measure quality. That's one of the challenges. You want to measure consumption, and you want to understand the big picture or the framework within which those services are being delivered. So the goal here is with this dashboard is to really answer and address those three major challenges, to present metrics that matter essentially, like the video quality and minutes of use, and understand the video usage. So just quickly on some of these slides, well, starting with this one, you know, what we're providing here is the ability to display data according to the content provider, according to CDN or network topology, and then the ability to drill down into data to isolate problems, to look at sortable scorecards that allow the ranking of data quickly, find statistical outliers and so on. And what that really enables is a predictive analysis based on observed trends, and again a very clear insight into the delivered quality to the end subscriber. To that point, this is a different screen within the dashboard, but again going directly to the quality. You know, again, if you remember the comment that Indranil made, you know, raw savings without quality of experience impact is misleading. We believe that absolutely, and so, you know, to that point, we're gathering quality of experience metrics here and looking at factors that impact the subscriber experience to do a very deep analysis of the quality of experience. Answer questions like, why is the quality of experience score for one region or one provider or one CDN worse than another? And then we show that the distribution throughout the day and view that in a histogram to identify clustering. So I think again, just to underscore the point that the integration that we have with Openwave Mobility is very comprehensive, sort of soup to nuts, starting with the traffic steering, the granular steering that allows a very scalable solution with minimized CapEx and OpEx, through to the best-of-breed optimization of the Openwave Mobility platform itself, and then wrapping that with all of these important quality of experience metrics and insights as well. Here again, just shifting the focus a little bit from the quality of experience to an actual plan analysis for the delivery of the video. This speaks to the monetization aspect. So this allows the operator to explore the potential of per minute and per video charging, really answering, I suppose, sort of the what-if scenario analysis questions on alternative pricing options. And again, this is all based on real network usage data that's collected and then subjected to this real-time manipulation of various service plan parameters to see what the impact of specific changes would be on the service plan. Finally, just one more example, just one other screen here. This is what we call the over-the-top video adoption and revenue screen. And again, just taking real data from the network to understand the revenue opportunity cost of over-the-top video and compare that with third-party video services. And that the goal here really is to, again, provide very actionable data tools to enable the operator to manage their services and look at compare that with on-deck alternatives. So finally, to conclude, I started out with two important insights. I'm going to conclude with 2 points as well. I think the first point is that video is absolutely the most important category of traffic on networks today. We've seen time and time again that subscribers equate video quality with network quality. If someone's trying to watch a video and the quality is poor, then they immediately assume that the network is poor, and we see that time and time again across all regions and customers. So, to address these demands, networks have to be architected for peak utilization requirements, and that really requires a detailed understanding of the factors that drive peak period data consumption. I've touched on some of those briefly today, and the ability to optimize that video. And that's important for capacity planning and to maximize the return on infrastructure investments. I would also echo Susan's initial comments about LTE. With many of the world's mobile service providers expanding their 4G LTE footprints, there's no doubt that we'll see faster broadband speeds. That's becoming more accessible to a wider population all the time. You combine that with higher resolution screens, longer battery life, smarter, faster smartphones and tablets, and there's no doubt that people will be streaming more videos at higher resolutions for longer periods of time. So that's all great, but simply upgrading the network from 3G to LTE is not a panacea vis-a-vis solving the peak time congestion issue. So in order to be effective, we believe very strongly that traffic and congestion management practices for the LTE networks have to be implemented at day zero, and that's just going to maximize the subscriber quality of experience and ensure a great high-speed experience for all subscribers. And finally, I want to thank Openwave Mobility for inviting us to participate, and just say again that we're very excited about the prospects of delivering a best-of-breed solution together. This is a tested and proven integration that's been put through its paces, and we're quite confident we'll greatly impress the market. Jeff, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks very much.
Okay. Great, Chris, thank you so much. We've got time. We've got about 5 to 7 minutes for some additional questions. Before I do jump into some questions, I would like to launch the second poll just to get some audience feedback on what the audience thinks about the primary strategy to tackle challenge of video traffic growth. So I'm going to leave this open for about 45 seconds. Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask one of the first questions we have, which is I'm going to address this to Indranil, if it's okay. Some operators are looking at OTT content providers to optimize their own content. how much will the operator still need to optimize video?
Good question, Jeff. Let me take that. So there are probably a couple of pieces to that answer. Number one, the over-the-top players, arguably the most effective from their perspective would be using the adaptive streaming protocol. But from an operator perspective, one needs to keep in mind that adaptive streaming is a very greedy protocol and can drive up the operator network utilization north of 80% in some cases. So while the over-the-top player, from their perspective, is optimizing, the operator needs to have the tool in place to be able to, for example, throttle that and drive down their network utilization. The second piece is the congestion. Operator has the best knowledge of the radio network condition, and when they detect congestion, they are in the best position, again, to optimize that traffic and drive better quality of experience. So then again, the need for optimization comes in. And last but not the least, majority of the traffic still is HTTP progressive download protocol, and there again, the operator is in the best place, sitting in the network, to effectively optimize as and when needed to both drive savings and also better quality of experience. One more I'll add is the policy base. Operator always wants to have that tool in their toolkit to be able to optimize based on the policy of the end user or policy of that traffic type, for example. So those are the reasons why the operator should still have the capability and will, in practical terms, have the need to do optimization. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna close the poll. I'm gonna leave it open for about 5 seconds here. If anybody wants to vote, please cast your vote now. I'll leave it open for just a second. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close it and then share those results. Probably no surprise, combination of all the above, but there's a greater emphasis on video optimization. Indranil, I want to come back to your question about how operators plan to optimize their networks for video, and one of the questions we have from the field is about Google Cache. What role do you see Google caching playing in the operator environment?
Yeah, so I think the question, Jeff, just so that everybody is aware, was how do you integrate with currently video caching solutions in the operator, and Google Cache was one of the examples. So our solution, our combined solution, is very complementary to that. So we would sit in the network and we would still optimize that traffic as and when needed. So the short answer and the right answer is it's a complementary piece. The caching is closer to the edge to save on the ISP cost, and our goal with optimization is to drive the client-side savings, which is important for the operator. Okay?
Okay, good. Susan, I want to get you back engaged. What trends are you seeing in emerging markets? Are they the same as markets? Is there a correlation between markets with higher smartphone penetration?
Yes, definitely seeing a lot of demand for video optimization and for service innovation, I'd say, as much so, and even more so sometimes than in more developed markets, because they're trying to create opportunities to have very micro-level payments and small packaging of video in their markets. But certainly, one of the areas is to get the video from other markets, from other countries, and sometimes that gets consumed on a mobile device. And in many areas, people don't necessarily have a home broadband, so their broadband on their mobile device is really their main way to access video content, such as YouTube. So certainly seeing demand there as well.
Okay, and before we do a wrap-up set of comments, Susan, I'll address this back to you. Will the over-the-top guys, OTTs, value premium video delivery, or do they really just want the lowest cost delivery method?
Yeah, I'll come out on this and then let Chris comment as well if he'd like to. I think really some of the over-the-top companies, they realize that the quality of video consumed, their brand is attached to that as well. So the operator, of course, is going to have their network evaluated on quality of video, but that brand itself is also going to be seen as being viewed by the quality impact. So I think there certainly are some brands who are going to very much value having quality on their videos and be willing to discuss and talk to operators about how that's approached. We'll see other players in the content delivery network area as well looking at quality of video and what they can deliver. And for that, I think the analytics tools and the ability to really show and prove the quality of experience is a very important piece of building those partnerships.
I concur with that. I agree with Susan. If I can borrow an example actually from North America fixed networks, where we see the real strength of Netflix in this area. There are many over-the-top services like HBO, Amazon, and Hulu that have all attempted to sort of make inroads there, and they've had, frankly, limited success. Amazon's actually in second place with under 2% of the peak utilization, but when you can compare that to Netflix on the fixed side, which is 33%, it's they're laggards, and these over-the-top services, they're not going to make up that ground without caring about quality. They're just not. As Susan says, their brand is associated with this. It's not that Amazon doesn't have deep pockets; they do. And if to focus purely on low-cost delivery at the expense of quality would be actually a disaster for them, and they recognize this.
Okay, we're out of time, but I am going to give the last question to Indranil. Indranil, with LTE added capacity, why should operators invest now in video optimization?
Yeah, so Jeff, as Susan mentioned, even with LTE adding capacity, the users will experience experiencing congestion. If you have 10 folks in a single cell site all downloading high-definition video, there will be congestion. So even with LTE, what it will do is it will drive the demand up. And therefore, in fact, one of the questions that we got was, how do you detect the congestion and to what granularity? Let me just make a point there. We can detect congestion both at the cell site level with our combined solution, or Openwave also has the ability to detect at the individual flow level. We have a patent pending solution that can really detect at the flow level. And so the bottom line is, even with LTE, you will have congestion, and therefore the need for optimization as you see more devices, more high-definition video being delivered to end users.
Could I just actually jump in? Sorry, Jeff. It's Chris. Just quickly, I could say anyone, since we didn't have time to get to all the questions, anyone who wants to ping me at my personal email address, I'd be more than happy.
Okay. Well, the screen we have up has all the panelists' emails on it. A little bit of housekeeping. This webinar will be made available on demand within 24 hours. The folks that registered and attended will get a link within 24 hours that will give you access to the webinar. Susan, Indranil, Chris, thank you so much for your time. Thank you all the attendees for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to RCR Wireless or any of the panelists whose emails are shown on the screen. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.